Hi, I'm Tina Wieczorek and I'm the CEO of Scaffolding, Access and Rigging New Zealand. We're the industry association body that represents scaffolding, access and rigging, and a couple of other smaller sectors as well, one of those being shrink wrapping. So shrink wrap is what a lot of you will see when you drive down the street. It's the plastic wrap that you see around a lot of building sites, and it's there for multiple reasons, one of those being containment. So this can be anything to do with hazardous waste on a site, or even if you're looking after your local marina, which could be 100 metres down the road, preventing any of those materials from reaching your coastline or your waterways is really important. If you are in a region that sees pretty shoddy weather, they're trying to keep the worksite nice and dry and unaffected by weather. So this means that you can stay on the timeline, the main contractor can ensure that the cost is kept at a minimum for the client, and that the work is actually kept in a safe work environment as well. Shrink wrap is one of those things that is a temporary feature of the build. So us as an industry body, we're wanting to ensure that we are sourcing really reliable ways for when it does come to that end of life, that clients and the user of the product understand what pathways they have to recycle that product. One of the things that SARNZ did in order to help find solutions for our sector is we reached out to the wonderful Dr Terri-Ann Berry and her team, so we could understand a little bit more about what is happening in this space and making sure that we are partnering with industry experts so we can provide the best possible solutions for our sector.
Kia ora, my name's Terri-Ann Berry. I am a Professor of Environmental Engineering. I work within a small environmental group called the Environmental Solutions Research Centre, and our focus is really finding solutions for waste and pollution across Aotearoa. So you've probably seen shrink wrap around the outside of houses. It's generally made of a type of plastic called LDPE, which is low density polyethylene, and it's really useful if your house is undergoing some renovation processes. We're all aware of the waste problem. One of the things that people aren't necessarily aware of is the contribution of plastic waste from the construction and demolition industry to landfill. So for all the waste that goes to landfill in New Zealand, between 40 and 50% of that waste comes from the construction and demolition sector. In terms of plastic, it's about 4%, and that can equate to as much as 25,000 tonnes in the city of Auckland coming from construction and demolition every year. This plastic is an incredibly valuable resource, and so we should really be thinking about alternatives to just disposing in landfill. We should be thinking about options for reuse and recycle, because plastic is a valuable resource and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of carbon emissions to produce when you're making plastic into products. You've probably heard of the term circular economy. It's really just a way of making sure that my waste becomes someone else's resource. But the key here is also the economy part. So my waste actually has value, monetary value. In order to provide a circular economy, it means thinking beyond what's happening in your sector. So for example, at the moment it's a problem for the construction sector, but some of the solutions might come from outside of that sector. So I'll give you an example. To be able to recycle this product, it needs to be recycled into something else. In the best way, it would be shrink wrap. That would be brilliant. But if it can't be made into shrink wrap, perhaps it's not high grade anymore, then maybe it's made into something else. Now, for that to work, it means that that something else needs a market. Somebody needs to want that. And that person or that company might be outside of the construction sector. So the collaboration came about between SARNZ and ourselves when SARNZ actually approached us directly, recognising that there was an issue and they wanted to find solutions. So what we've been doing is investigating that issue, looking at the providers of shrink wrap and looking at the recycling solutions, particularly at the moment across Auckland, but we're going to stretch that out so it's nationwide. And then working with a number of other groups in the sector to try and find some really good solutions. I mean, it's not simple because you've got things to take on board like the transportation. Somebody has to transport the plastic from site to the recycling facility. And if those distances are really great, then you're using so much carbon in doing so that you're not really gaining anything. So this isn't a simple solution to solve, but it's something that we're working on. And I think with the partners we've got involved, we're looking like we're going to get some really good solutions in the future.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Taylor from the Construction Sector Accord. My role is Transformation Lead Environment, looking at low carbon solutions from within the construction industry and adaptation, and alongside that, waste. As an industry, we're shifting the focus from the word waste into resource because we know there is an inherent value with all of these materials as they come off our site, whether they're offcuts or reach their end of life. So we're really conscious about how we can start elevating this conversation and making the whole supply chain see the value in this resource on site. We see that our role is to aid with the collaboration and to partner with organisations like SARNZ, like Unitec, to actually look for solutions and help industry achieve that by sharing best practice and making certain that all parties in industry know how they can actually access the information. We see information and peer-to-peer relationships as key to how we can actually all progress and achieve our climate aims. In particular, we have already convened a waste working group that has looked at people from right across the industry, people that are passionate about waste. There is so much good action happening on sites right across New Zealand, but it's how do we actually share that information? An upcoming beacon we have is showcasing work on a big site, big commercial site, and from that they've got 91% diversion from landfill. But we're looking even further than that, up back towards the root causes of waste and seeing what we can do to actually stop some of those products if they're not necessary from even entering into the construction cycle. But obviously, as with any kind of industry, we do actually need these raw materials to make our industry work. You know, we can't build a house out of fresh air. We know that these materials are really, really required. So it's how do we do this in the best possible way, creating the least waste, doing it the most efficiently, and if we do have items that are unneeded or are used only for a portion of the build, how can we keep those back into the circular economy at their highest possible value and with the least possible effect on nature. We've been really delighted to be working closely with SARNZ. They've been doing amazing work, which they've been really happy to share with the sector.
We're always working hard on finding solutions for the client. And some of those things can be bespoke roof systems, such as that are fitted with Keter tracks, and those are reusable PVC sheets. These are a great alternative when the build allows for that to be an option. When shrink wrap is the option that is needed, it's ensuring that the client is educated in what their options are for the end of life of that product.
It's actually challenging that thinking that actually plastic is an issue, because in reality the plastic itself is reasonably inert. It's what we do with it at the end of its life when we have cut-offs. It's making sure that there's a home for it to go to, and going back to those circular economy principles, it's about making certain that we keep these items, these resources in use for the longest time at their highest possible value. And there's a lot of reasons for using plastics too. Compared to a number of other products, we'll find that they're more durable, they're more versatile, that they're not as prone, say, for pipes, they're not as prone to having trees ingress into them and create issues. You know, they can actually end up being a lesser embodied carbon option than a number of what we might consider more natural materials, because we need less of them, they can be bent into different shapes. So it's not about saying that there's a particular evil component to some of these items, it's making sure that we've actually got a happy home for them at the end of their life where they can be reused and recycled.
So the really good news is that actually in many instances shrink wrap can be recycled. Basically it's a pretty high grade product, so it's a high quality product. Providing we keep it clean and we separate it, we can actually have it recycled, and there's a number of different providers across the country that are able to do that.
Terri-Ann and her team helped us create a really wonderful decision tree that broke down what options there are for the sector, what types of plastics can be sorted and sent to what particular providers, and how accessible they are to those particular regions as well.